And you like my little cross? We felt we needed to have a cross. So this is my Easter banner that I normally hang out front of my house, and it's pretty well worn, but it's our cross. So there it is. We're in the midst of, we just began last week, a new series, a message series called Mountaintop Living. And you remember that I talked about how sometimes we feel like we're on a mountaintop and then the world drags us down into the valley. But we can be mountaintop dwellers. Okay? And that means that maybe we slip a little bit, but we get right back up on top of that mountain as mountaintop dwellers. Boy, the world needs you and me to be dwelling on the mountaintop. Not just visiting, not just backpacking, but building a permanent house on the top of the mountain and dwelling there. And we do that, and we talked about that last week because this is the message series is based on the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus went and he sat on a mount, and the people just gathered at his feet, and he began to teach. And the preamble, the opening of the Sermon on the Mount was the Beatitudes, and of course we talked about that last week, having a new attitude, and having the Beatitudes, having those new attitudes and living them helps us to stay a mountaintop dweller. Did any of you have any negative, fearful, depressing, sad moments last week? Any of you? Oh, come on. Let's be honest. Let's be open. Of course, you all did. A lot we do. That's living. But I don't know about you, but I find that be a new attitude, and I start doing the I've got a new attitude, and it helps me refocus and reframe and look at the blessings that God's put in my life as opposed to focusing on all of my challenges. Looking forward instead of looking back. Looking at what I have left versus what I have lost. And as a mountaintop dweller, as we continue now, and we go into the meat beyond the preamble of the Beatitudes into the Sermon on the Mount, the very first next verse is, Jesus said, you are the salt of the earth. So as mountaintop dwellers, that means we're salty, you and I. We are salt shakers, you and I. And we shake up our world, you and I, as mountaintop dwellers. On our mountain, we want to be the people, and with the help of Jesus, we can do that. We want to be the kind of people that people look at you and they say, I want to be like that person. I want to be like him. I want to be like her. I want to be able to go through life's challenges and smile and be positive. I want to go through life, and even though people have hurt me, I show grace and mercy. When people see that kind of person, they say, I want to be like you. Then you and I were salty mountaintop dwellers, and people want to be like us. And at Hope Center of Christ, as we are all salty, as you and I through the week, when they see us respond in love and grace and mercy, and they see us stay up no matter what, they will want to be like you, and our church will grow exponentially. They're going to say, where do you learn? How do you do this? And you can say, well, I learned it at church. I learned it in my Bible. And so we are positive examples as mountaintop dwellers, and that's what it means to be. You are the salt of the earth. Salt is a seasoning, and your life is seasoning. You are seasoned with something, and I know you aren't seasoned with sour grapes, and you're not seasoned with bitter root. You're seasoned with grace and love. You're seasoned with mercy, and that's what we're called to be. And salt, if you go to any kitchen You might not find saffron. You might not find cumin. But you will always find salt in absolutely every single kitchen in the world, right? Anybody not have salt? And is not salt the most common of all the seasons? It's the cheapest, right? In fact, when they had the seasonings and the spice trade opened up in the Orient Silk Road, and they discovered that they could take these seasons and these salts, they became like gold, especially saffron is still very expensive today. I've never bought the stuff. It looks and tastes delicious. But salt is everywhere. Salt is everywhere. Salt is very common. And that's what you and I are. We are salt of the earth. But the reason it's everywhere is because it's so important. And God created it knowing, and we can learn what Jesus meant when he said, you are the salt of the earth. Because salt flavors life. We can be a flavoring. We can be a seasoning. And in Colossians 4:6, it says this, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how to answer every man. So we can be a beautiful, positive seasoning with just our words, just grace. Oh, it's so tempting when people say something hurtful and mean to lash back or to pull away. But we salty mountaintop dwellers, we will stop and we will think about how we will respond. And we will even say, God, give me the grace to respond with grace, so that our words are seasoned with grace. We can be a positive flavor for others. People will want to be like you. They will want to have what you have if you're a salty person. Salt purifies life. Salt, I love this because when I was in college, I went away to college, and I confess, I got away from home. I was the very pure little PK, preacher's kid, who never did anything wrong in high school. And I went away to college, a Christian college. And one day I heard myself, much to my shame and my remorse, I heard myself talking to friends. And it was a bitter, cold day in Michigan. That's where I was in college. But my cheeks burned with shame after I heard myself use some profanity. I did. And I immediately was like, oh, because this is what happened. As soon as those words escaped my lips, I thought of my mom, a vision of my mom, a mental memory of my mom. And my mother would never use words like that. In fact, I thought of my mom speaking like that, and I got almost sick to my stomach. And I thought, Sheila, you don't want to be like you have just been. You want to be like Mom. And from that day on, never, ever again. The words just don't, because why? My mom was salty. She gave a salty memory of how to be. And her salty memory helped me keep my life pure. And so as salty mountaintop dwellers, people will watch. They will emulate. Yes, they will want to be like you.